Hey everybody, today we're going to go over the milestones part of the project planner. So you are using the project planner, which looks like this, and we are working in the third part where it says project milestones. All right, so let us get started. So the purpose of this video is to really understand why outlining the milestones is important and also helpful, and then how to use this organizer. So what I've done is really just recreated it into this document, into the slide. But what the milestones allows you to do is outline, right? It creates an overall story for your project, and the story is connected through the milestones. The milestones are these big kind of assessment pieces that you want to make sure that the students are reaching, so that by the time you get to the end of the project, you've seen a progression of their skills, you've seen a progression of their mastery, and they're making the connections needed to get to work on the final product. So how this document kind of works is that we work in this column. So we start with the milestone, and then we break it down to the key student question, and then there's an assessment attached to it. Now keep in mind that the milestones, like milestone 1 could be milestone for day 2 or day 1 or day 3. It really just depends on your big picture and what's happening. But the milestone 1, how this teacher has outlined it, and this is a project that I worked with a teacher. She was reading the Crucible, and her first milestone was going to be the project documents that she wanted her students to have completed, the driving question, which her students were actually writing their own driving questions, and then there was a bunch of background knowledge that they needed to know in order to get to the next milestone. So the key question she was using was, what is the historical connections of this error? Now, I just want to note that in the key student question, a lot of you have essential questions already built into your curriculum. So you could use those questions as the key student question. You have another option, which is to break down your driving question into smaller questions, or you could use neither of those options and choose to create your own student questions that really help continue the inquiry process throughout the project. And in some cases, students create these questions and they're generated from their need to knows, and a teacher might use those as some of the key questions. So you have some options on where you're going to find your key question. But what is important is that there's an assessment tied to that question. And in this teacher's case, she had 3 assessments that she wanted to complete for this milestone. And the IG represents individual grade, and GG represents the group grade. Individual grades are always tied to your content. So you're determining if a student has mastered the content, whereas the group grade is more focused on either the success skill or something that the group is completing. In this instance, it's the contract. So she tied a grade to the contract, and that was a group grade. All right, so that's how each milestone is broken down. In the next milestone, this teacher felt it was important to make sure that the first group check-in was completed. And this check-in was making sure that they understood what was happening, how they answered this key student question, and then making sure, in this case, they could answer the question, what can fear teach us? And she had a summative assessment tied to this milestone. And again, this milestone could have been day 3, it could have been day 4, it could be any day of the project. Most likely she was still in the first week. And then subsequently, she's got milestone 3 and 4 also broken down into both the key question and the assessment. Now, I just want to point something out in milestone 4. I know for sure that this teacher had multiple milestones, more than 4, but for just this example, I'm showing you 4. She has gotten one of her milestones that it was the last day to fire someone. And That is important as you get further into, I don't know, feeling comfortable implementing project-based learning. That is a real thing, and we just want to keep that in mind. What is your comfort level in using a firing process for students that are not working well in their groups? There's always a process for this. It is not something that students can just decide to do. But if that's something you're interested in, you can find more information on that in the module around managing your project. All right, so I hope that helps filling this out. You're going to fill this out first. This gives you an opportunity to really think about all the parts of the project. But as you get into the calendar piece, you'll be able to get even more detailed in your project planning. Hope that helps.